The Denver Broncos select Noah Fant, tight end, Iowa.
Coming up on this Broncos Draft Special, dreams came true in Nashville, but now the real work begins.
The Denver Broncos select Daulton Reisner, Locke.
We go behind the scenes inside the Broncos war room as John Elway and company continue to build the foundation.
Drew. What's up, John? What's going on, baby?
Plus, meet the newest Broncos, including Locke, as he gets set to learn the ropes from a seasoned vet.
I'm a Bronco now and couldn't be more excited to be here.
Draft grades, an AFC West roundup, and more coming up right now. 6 new players drafted to the Broncos over the weekend, 4 on offense and 2 on defense. A mix of guys ready to play now and some full of potential, eager to learn. Hello from inside the Broncos Media Center. I'm Phil Milani alongside Matt Boyer and Steve Atwater. Andrew Mason will be along shortly. Guys, how do you feel like things played out this weekend?
I thought the Broncos did a great job addressing the best player on the board. We often talk about need versus best player on the board. I thought that the way the board fell, the Broncos got first-round talent in each of those first 3 picks, and then Draymond Jones in that 3rd round, Steve, I thought was a great defensive addition. I think the Broncos did a great job maximizing value.
I agree. I think they did a wonderful job throughout the draft. Got excellent value at every position there. I thought we would go Devin Bush at 10 there early on, but when they traded the pick back with the Pittsburgh Steelers, got in the 20th slot, I wasn't exactly sure who they were going to take there. They ended up taking Noah Fant. He's a guy we've been talking about on the radio for weeks and weeks. Just a guy who has the explosiveness, take the top off of defense as a tight end, and just a great pick.
And John Elway certainly happy with how things played out over the weekend, hoping this year's class will be able to build upon what last year's class was able to do.
The more we can stack these drafts with the right kind of guys, right players that are able to make this, the big step from college football to the NFL and play well is very big. So, we feel like, so far so good. We'll see. Last year's class played very well for us, and we anticipate this class helping us out this year too.
John Elway.
What's up, What's up, Coach Elway? How you doing?
Good, buddy. How you doing? Congratulations.
Feel really good about the guys we got. Obviously, they've got to prove that we're right in picking them, with the potential that we see in them, and also the type of people they are. So we're excited about it and looking forward to seeing them when they get on the field.
We just heard from John Elway talking about the Broncos needing some help, needing to add depth in this 2019 year. And if the Broncos wanted reinforcements in this year's draft, they definitely found a good one in first-rounder Noah Fant. The 6'4" tight end out of Iowa carries 4.5 speed and almost a 40-inch vertical. He will definitely be able to help the Broncos spread the field. I had a chance to catch up with Noah when he arrived in Denver, and he explained to me just exactly what spreading the field will mean to him and his quarterback, Joe Flacco.
That means stretching the seams vertically. It means pulling defense out. And even if defenses are focused on me pulling them out, then things underneath are going to be open. So having different pieces on the offense, there's a lot of different guys on the offense, and having a guy like Joe Flacco is going to be something pretty special. So I'm super pumped.
Noah Fant will obviously be a big part of this year's offense, but guys, did the Broncos do enough with free agency and this weekend to help get this offense going a little bit?
I think so. You look at the amount of starters that the Broncos got, not only in the draft, but also in free agency. Joe Flacco and Juwan James are going to be obviously huge pieces of where the Broncos go offensively this year. And then, in my mind, Noah Fant and Daulton Reisner are both day one starters for this team, Steve. I think anytime that you can add 4 offensive starters into that offense in an offseason, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way, man. That offensive line, Daulton Reisner is going to step in right away. We imagine Noah Fant will play quite a bit, but he said it himself. He's got to come in. He's got to earn that starting spot. Jeff Hardman still, right now, he's the guy in the number 1 position right now. But and then now the wide receiver position is going to be a position where someone's going to have to step up, especially if Emmanuel Sanders isn't ready to go at the start of the season.
Well, with Joe Flacco under center, protecting him will be key, and Daulton Reisner has just the right attitude to do the job.
when I'm on the football field, I'm not out there to make any friends. This is my job now. I'm a professional athlete. John Elway's my boss. Coach Fangio is my boss. Coach Munchak. I'm not out there to make any friends. If they're my teammates, of course, but I'm out there to earn a spot, and I'm out there to put food on the plate for my family. So that's how I look at it. Is I'm not out there to make friends. I'm out there to compete. I'm out there to be the best player I can be. I'm going to try to put your butt in the dirt every single play.
Reisner should be in the mix to start right away, but the same can't be said for the Broncos' other second-round pick. That's Drew Locke. The plan for him, obviously, sit behind Joe Flacco and learn for a little bit. But, Matt, when will he take over the reins?
I think when he's ready. John Elway referred to Drew Locke as kind of being the future. Every indication we've gotten from John Elway means that Joe Flacco is the indefinite starter. Drew's purpose is to come in and learn under Joe because he's got a lot to work on. Drew's got a ton to work on, and Elway even said it in his draft call. You're going to come in and learn behind Joe. So I think when Drew comes in, he's going to have the right attitude, but, it could be some time before we see him as a starter.
Yeah, just listen to him in the press conferences. He has definitely the right attitude of a young quarterback coming in with the right attitude, knowing that he has to put in work to earn the right to get on the football field. And what a great, what better situation could a guy come into to be able to learn behind a Super Bowl MVP like Joe Flacco. Now, how soon he'll take over the reins, that remains to be seen. I would imagine during this 2019 season, he won't take over as the starter, but at some point during the 2020 season, if we have any hiccups with Joe or if Joe is hurt or injured, he'll get a chance to start a game or two in there, and we'll get a chance to get a glimpse of what he can be for the future, and I think that'll be something positive.
You know how fans are. The second anything goes a little bit wrong, we want Drew Locke, get him in there.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how things unfold this season. Steve, what do you like about Locke's game?
Well, he throws a great deep ball. I like that. I also like how he's able to go through his progressions, find the right receiver to throw the ball to, and I love that he has the 4 years of experience of playing. I think he's been through tons of situations. He had a difficult time early on in college and was able to fight through it and see success on the other end. I think he's the guy who's, when his time's come, he's going to be ready to show what he can do.
Matt, you had a chance to sit down with him right here in the Broncos Media Center. What were your takeaways about the personality?
I think Drew's a confident guy. I think that he's a very self-assured guy. And it was funny because when I sat down and was talking with him, he reminded me of when John Elway said last year when we were talking about the 2018 draft, a quarterback needs to have the right mentality. He needs to kind of have a bit of that swagger, a bit of that confidence to make guys want to follow that quarterback. And I think that Drew Locke has all of those characteristics. Now it's just about putting that mentality with the X's and O's that he's going to learn here as in the backup role.
Well, Locke is coming into a great situation, a chance to learn behind a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
I'm going to prep like I'm a starter regardless of the situation I'm in because that's what's going to make you the best quarterback. And then because if it does happen, you're prepped. Like it's okay, you're ready to go. And I've said it a couple times, I know what a good backup is because of the backups I had in Missouri. I'm going to try to be exactly what they were to me, to Joe and all the guys in the quarterback room and make that quarterback room awesome.
And he's got the right mentality of the quarterback. That's one thing I really liked when we met him is, the way he seems to have that it factor and the confidence factor that, a lot of times these great quarterbacks in the NFL have to have.
He does have good arm strength. I think he throws the intermediate throws very well. He's got to learn to throw the short throws a little bit better and just continue to progress as a quarterback.
The Broncos went offense with their first 3 picks, but then Vic Fangio nudged Elway and said, hey, how about give the defense a little bit of love? The Broncos' 2 defensive picks, Draymond Jones and Justin Hollins. Guys, with the addition of some of the free agent players they were able to bring in, do you feel like this defense will get back to its dominating ways?
I think the defense will get back to where it needs to be. I think a lot of that's going to do with Fangio's system. I don't know how much of an impact both Jones and Hollins are going to have right away. Steve, you look at Jones, he's a guy who probably isn't a first, second, and third down guy right away, but he'll be able to contribute, kind of a developmental player there for Bill Kollar. And then Hollins, Vic Fangio said he wants to figure out where he's best, whether he can play inside, outside, where he goes best. So both of these guys are going to kind of work their way into the roster as opposed to that first and second pick, Fant and Reisner, who should contribute right away.
Yeah, Draymond Jones, he reminds me a little bit of DeMarcus Walker in terms of his build. A lot will depend on if he's able to contribute early, is if he's able to withstand those big offensive linemen coming at him, and if they drive him off the line of scrimmage, he'll probably just be a third down guy. But I would imagine he and DeMarcus Walker will be able to have some friendly competition and see who's able to do well there. Now, in terms of Hollins, he's 6'6". I know Coach Fangio said he's going to try him at inside linebacker. I think it's going to be a little bit difficult for him at that height to play inside linebacker, because a lot of times, especially if we're playing teams with fullbacks, they're going to be going for his knees, and that could be quite painful. So I would imagine in the end, Hollins will wind up back on the edge. But, Phil, can we get back to the winning ways of Super Bowl defense? I think it's possible, certainly, with this Vic Fangio and Ed Donatell defense.
Well, you mentioned inside linebacker there. We thought maybe they would draft a guy in the first round. They didn't do that. There's been problems covering tight ends the past couple of years. A spotlight, really, on that inside linebacker spot.
Yeah, they're going to have a lot to deal with in the inside linebacker room this year. But I think a lot of those problems with the tight end going in motion, is communication. You need to be able to communicate well with your secondary guys, those safeties behind you. So I think, Steve, once, Todd Davis and Josie Jewell kind of get on the same page with those secondary guys, I think that's just going to allow Jewell and Davis to play more freely than we've seen them play in the past.
Yeah, we saw that a lot last year. That was one of the biggest problems on the defense, was poor communication, guys not really 100% sure what their responsibilities were. And I think this defense is going to be much simpler, and the communication will be much better. So we'll have fewer issues, and therefore I think we'll play much better defense all around.
Going back to the interior, the Broncos feel like Draymond Jones is just tapping into his potential, and with the right coaching, he could take his game to the next level.
I've been hearing a lot as the day has gone. I've been talking to my agent, been talking to one of our OGAs, his name Kenny Ananuk, he knew about Coach Fangio, and I'm very excited because I know how much of a genius he is defensively. The Big Ten is definitely no joke, so I know how it feels to be double teamed. I know how it feels to go against those 6'7", 330 offensive tackles and those 6'4", 330 guards, so I got a feel for both, and I think I can handle myself in the league.
Now let's take a look around the rest of the AFC West, starting with the Chiefs. Kansas City had to wait until the second round to make its first pick. McCole Hardman out of Georgia, a wideout, 6 picks in total for the Chiefs this year. Los Angeles went defensive line in the first round with Jared Tillery out of Notre Dame. Both the Chiefs and the Chargers seems like trying to plug holes for a Super Bowl run. And finally, the Raiders, they surprised everyone with the 4th overall pick, selecting Clelin Ferrell. The Raiders had 4 picks in the top 40. Guys, how do you feel like the rest of the division fared?
I think that it's going to be an unpopular opinion, but I actually like what the Raiders did. I thought they got good value, especially late with Trayvon Mullen, Foster Moreau, and Hunter Renfrow. I think the Chargers, like you mentioned, Phil, I think, it's kind of a plug-and-play type deal with Tillery and Adderley. But I think that I was very impressed with what the Raiders did. Had a lot of picks, Steve.
Yeah, I was impressed with the Raiders pick, except for the first one. I felt like that was a little bit of a reach, Clelin Ferrell. I think they could have traded back and gotten him a little bit later, gotten some more value for that pick. But overall, the class of guys they got, high character guys, every team likes to get those types of players. Now, the Chargers, I thought they drafted guys really just playmakers. They got some guys who have made plays throughout their careers in college, and I think they're looking to do the same thing when they get to the Chargers. And the Chiefs with McCole Hardman, I thought that was a bit of a reach, basically because of the issues that are going on with their wide receiver, Tyreek Hill. Nobody knows how that's going to turn out, probably bad for them. I think that was somewhat of a reach. So I feel like out of the AFC West, I feel like the Broncos definitely had the best draft.
Well, what everybody loves come draft time, draft grades. Let's send things over to our draft expert, Andrew Mason, and get his thoughts on the Broncos draft.
Thanks, Phil. And look, I had the Broncos getting good value with each of their picks on days 1 and 2. Noah Fant, he was the top tight end on my board, not T.J. Hawkinson. I think Fant has a higher ceiling. Getting to day 2, Daulton Reisner, he was in the top 20 on my board, in part because of his versatility, in part because he only allowed 1 sack at Kansas State in 4 years as a starter, according to Pro Football Focus. And then, of course, Drew Locke. A lot of draft nicks had him expected to go in round 1. You get great value on him in round 2 at number 42 overall. And even the trade with the Bengals, if you go buy both draft value charts, the Broncos got the upper hand on it. Very good deal. And then Draymond Jones, round 3, fills a need. You've been missing interior pass rush punch for the last few years. Draymond Jones gives you a chance to have what you last had with Malik Jackson. So good stuff there on days 1 and 2. Overall, I give the draft an A-/B+. I'm not going to say A. I don't give full A's on draft day, but the Broncos did fill a lot of their needs. Didn't get all of them taken care of, but sometimes you have to go back to the next year to fill all the items on the shopping list. Phil?
Thank you very much, Mace. I like that. An A-/B+ right in there. Steve, I think you had a better grade for the Broncos.
A+, man. You guys did a great job. You don't like that, man?
No, I'm just saying it's 16-0. It's A+. You love this, man.
Now, we had a little bit more needs than we could address during the draft, but all the selections, I really liked them. I think they're going to all contribute eventually.
Matt, what do you think?
I don't know if I'm as high on it as Steve is.
I love it.
But I think it's great. I think whenever you're drafting, you want a good blend of guys that can help you right away and guys that can help you in the future. I think the Broncos got a good blend of both near the front end with Fant and Reisner, and then some of those development guys late. I was very impressed with what the Broncos did, and I think the future is very bright.
Yeah, they addressed some needs right away and also planned for the future. Be sure to check out DenverBroncos.com and the Broncos YouTube page for the full interviews as all the top 4 picks in this year's draft class made their way over here to the Broncos Media Center. All right, that's going to do it for us. For Andrew Mason, Steve Atwater, Matt Boyer, I am Phil Milani. Thanks for checking out this Broncos Recap Draft Special.